No. No. Welcome to Reality Check, where we decode the drama, debunk the myths, and deep dive into mental health matters portrayed on the TV screen. My name is Selena, and I'm a licensed therapist.
Hi, my name's Jacqueline. I'm the producer and co-host.
Woohoo! So what's happening, Jacqueline? Let's do our check-in.
I enjoyed the Super Bowl. Me and my husband and my kids went over to my mom and dad's house and we watched the Super Bowl. And it was right then and there that I realized that I cannot handle stressful situations. Because I was just so excited. I'm not for any team, really. I don't have any like skin in the game type deal. But for some reason, I just wanted the 49ers to win because it's the underdog deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Not a T-Swift fan?
huh?
Not a T-Swift fan?
I am. I mean, I am. I respect the relationship and I like what they're doing, but I just really, that the history and the story of the 49ers quarterback is huge. He was pretty much like the last picked in the draft. He was Mr. Something. I can't remember the name. But he pretty much was the last pick. No one wanted him. He made it on. He had to push himself, work himself, prove that he needs to be there and wants to be there, and took him to the playoffs, took him to the Super Bowl. So it was just like that underdog story. But I was just hiding under my blankets and I'd like take them off and I'd like run back and forth. And you could just tell my dad was like, lay down or sit down or stop it. And I'm just like, I'm so
stressing him out.
and I'm like, I don't know how you're so cool, because he just sits there and just so composed, like just watching it. And I'm over here like, kickoff, they missed, they did this, they did that. And he's like, I'm watching the same game, hun. And then my kids are there, so they enjoyed staying up late because it went into overtime. So they enjoyed the chips and dip and like all the food that comes with it. And my husband was there and he was just like, you're stressing me out, babe. Like if I was in the Super Bowl, I can't even imagine what you'd actually be doing. You'd see me in the box running back and forth.
She runs on the field not because she's streaking, but because she can't sit down.
Yes. And then my mom, she's so cute. She was sitting there and she was like, did you see that, Jacqueline? Did you see that? I'm like, I've seen it all.
I don't even feel like it was that. Yeah, I don't know anything about football.
So
but
great.
I did not think it was that stressful of a game, but apparently it was.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Just because the story of it all, the story of Travis, the story of Taylor, you know, the story of the Chiefs in general, and then the story of, like I said, that quarterback who, Mr. Nobody, I think is what he's known for, is Mr. Nobody. And it's like, imagine growing up in a big world being known as Mr. Nobody, proving yourself to the entire world again and again and again just to get where you're at, to lose by 3 points. But it's not about the loss. It's about how he got there.
Well, I think so. On my end, discussions that were being had at the gathering that I was at was about how they don't like the Kansas City Chiefs because they apparently were big players in the push to get the Rams out of St. Louis. And people in St. Louis are super salty about the Rams not being in St. Louis. Rightfully so. Like, that's a big income. That's a sports team. Now they're the LA Rams, but I guess the Chiefs had a big part. That's what the talk was. I don't know. Don't quote me. I don't know football. But I just know that people in St. Louis don't like anyone that has anything to do with the Rams leaving St. Louis.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's lots of anger, feelings. Yes, lots of history. So now we just have this giant ass building that is empty for a lot of the time. Like we have a whole stadium that's just like empty and old, and our like St. Louis downtown is really struggling to be like a thriving place, and that's not helping.
Yeah, that's sad.
So
that's really sad.
But
yeah, I didn't know
that. The people who hosted commercial bingo. And so they gave us all bingo cards. Yeah. And so the commercials came on, you got to like check it off. And everyone won. But like I won a candy bar. It was so exciting. Let's dive in. These episodes were definitely more tame.
Yeah, they were more tame. Yeah. Is it safe to say Carmy's getting on my nerves?
Safe to say. Speak your truth, girl. Speak your truth.
All right, let's dive into episode 8. Okay, hold on. Did you want me to dive into 8 and 9 at the same time? Or just 8?
Let's do 8, see what time we have, and then we'll go into 9.
Okay. All right, I'm going to dive in on episode 8.
Bolognese.
Is that it? I named it bologna.
Bolognese, it's a pasta sauce.
I'm over here like, oh my god, they named it bologna.
You need to learn your Italian. If you're gonna be in love with pasta, you need to learn all of the pastas.
No, I just like spaghetti marinara. No mas. That's it. Just spaghetti marinara.
No mas.
Yeah. Italian's part Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So we're going to dive in on episode 8 with Carmy. It starts off with him talking to Claire on what the next level for the bear is. He's explaining to Claire what that means. And I may be mispronouncing this name. Ibris?
Ibra?
Ibra? Okay, good. Comes to the window and talks to Tina. And they kind of have this cute little conversation between the lines of back and forth. And it pretty much ends up with him coming back. Carmy and Cindy talk about the restaurant. She recites a line from the book, and he catches it. And he's like, "That's the book, huh?" She goes, "Yes." And then he drinks Pepto like it's water. He drinks Pepto. And it was just an interesting scene just watching him gulp it down like he's done this before.
Well, he has done this before.
Right, but he's never ran a restaurant and owned one. He's owning.
Well, he's done the drinking the Pepto before. It's his sign that he's really anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, continue.
Richie comes in his suit, his nice suit. He's loving the suit. It looks good on him. It fits him. And he comes in, and his first words were, "Don't laugh at me." And Carmy goes, "We're not laughing. I don't see anyone laughing, cuz." And he goes, "I get it. I understand. Like, I get it all." You know, because he just came back from that previous restaurant. As things are moving along, Marcus is in the picture, and he makes food for Sydney, and they kind of do their little back and forth thing on that end. And Sydney's really quick to like attack Marcus in a cute, fun way. Like, "Oh, you come in, don't talk to me, huh? Like, what's this about?" And he's like, calm down. This is for you." So he does that. And then once again, Carmy is just letting things go out his brain. His focus is not on the restaurant. It's just on Claire Bear. That's what they named her. Little Claire Bear. It's on Claire. And Sydney goes to open the handle and it breaks. The fridge guy calls and they're like, "Who's that for?" And Carmy's like, "Oh, I forgot about him too." Richie goes to... Oh, no. Let me back it up. Before they open, Tina gets her team. She gets to go out and meet her workers, and you could just tell the confidence in Tina. She just walks out there, and she looks at them, and she goes, "Let's go." And they're like, "Yes, chef." Like, immediately, they know what to say. Richie goes straight to Sugar and opens up about an apology. It kind of goes a little south for a second, but it quickly goes back on course because Sugar didn't know how to react. She thought it was like, "What are you doing?" Sydney hears Claire's name and just shuts down and kind of gets a little crazy. She just kind of is like, "What's going on? Why are you doing a lot of things this way?" You know? Richie's really embracing his new role, his suit. Uncle Cicero is back. He's back. He called Sugar up or Natalie Sugar. It was like, "Can I meet you out back?" Which, is kind of scary when you hear that. And she's like, "Okay, sure." And he just lays it down. You got to open in 10 days or you're done for. Like, that's just that. And Ibris has a photo of Tina. Ibra has a photo of Tina, him, and Mikey. And that's when Fack woke up and was like, "I know how to do the gas line. I know how to pass the test. I got it." Like, light bulb. And the tester came in, and when the tester came in and was counting down, every minute he was counting down, each flashback in everyone's head/face was going of what was the most important thing that was going on in their life at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was a lot, but not a lot.
Yeah, it was like, I think some like really good like building moments. Like they're building up to
Yes.
something, another thing. Um, let's talk about Carmy and Claire.
Yes.
I'm I'm kind of with you. I'm annoyed. I think I'm annoyed with their relationship
Mm-hmm.
because he's having a hard time balancing all of it. And so what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting is in the beginning, he's talking to Claire and he's like, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And she's like, no one's counting shoes, which is supportive of her, but I think she's missing the full picture of how much he actually has on his plate. And I think
Yeah.
this is more of like she just doesn't know what it's like to be in the restaurant industry. Um, and I mean, it's evident that he's struggling balancing everything because he didn't call the refrigerator guy. They're struggling with the gas line. And Sydney is clearly becoming angry with this relationship because we're running things by her and like their relationship is now harder because of he's distracted.
Yeah. He's just so distracted. He is I don't think I think he's scared, and that's possibly why he's distracted because he's scared of failing. Because he's even
Mm-hmm.
said on the phone, if we fail, that's it. Like we're done. There's no
Mm-hmm.
opening. There's no this. So it's kind of like he's jumping ship before the ship even sank without jumping ship. Because he's I don't know. I don't have an answer for him and Claire. I just
Mm-hmm.
know he's scared, he's nervous, and Claire's a good distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Claire makes him happy on his
Mm-hmm.
personal life. I want to talk about the other episode because the other one, he comes full circle and says, "I wouldn't be here without you." Talking to
Sydney.
Sydney,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but no, he just is. He's like jumping. He's jumping ship without jumping ship.
He's
Um,
self-sabotaging.
yes, okay. I didn't know the words because I'm like he's doing something because it's like
Yeah. He's
he's like hanging off,
self-sabotaging.
but his foot's still there.
Right. So the other shoe that's going to drop is not going to be from someone else. It's coming from him. Like we can see this happening. He hasn't called the refrigerator guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the tension between him and Sydney, like they're not communicating. And so he's the one that's dropping the shoe, right? Like, and I think
Mm-hmm.
we tend to do this. We destroy our own happiness. We're really good at doing this. And he's having a hard time. He has this thing that makes him happy, and so he's like grasping onto it because it's probably feels really
Mm-hmm.
rare and it feels really good, but he's leaving behind the other things. And so what he really could work on is like finding a balance between like how do I maintain this relationship and also the relationship with the restaurant and everyone else in it. I can do
Yeah.
both. There's a balance, but he's really struggling with that. He's leaning towards self-sabotaging right now.
Yeah. He definitely is because there's also no communication between him and Claire. She didn't even know what that meant. She didn't even know what level 2 is. She doesn't know the stress of what that entails. And she's just like, "You're fine. You'll do great, Bear. You'll do great. Oh, it's great. Oh, it's fine." It's like, no, 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 no. Like, he has all of his eggs in this basket. If he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do this, Uncle Sis knocks it all down. It's gone. He lost everything. He's back to square one. He's back to feeling like a failure. This was him and his brother's restaurant that he
Mm-hmm.
demolished and rebuilt again. Like, there's a lot in this basket that he just is super stressed that he's almost detaching from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's clinging too hard to Claire because it feels really good, which makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. But he doesn't see that he's destroying everything else.
And if it wasn't for Sydney and Sugar, that
Mm-hmm.
it would go down. It would go downhill because Sugar is on the other end, like making sure the workers are good, literally controlling Richie, help making sure Fack isn't acting out. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's doing all this, and she still hasn't said if she's project manager.
Yeah.
She's still like, because I think commitment for her is so hard for her, because when she says she's going to do something, then there's a bigger expectance of her, and she's
Mhm.
like, I just can't do that. Well, you're doing it, hon. You're doing it.
And
You've
she's
committed
already
without
doing
saying the
it.
word.
She's
Yeah.
very much the caretaker role. She will pick up the slack of everyone else. Sugar
Hmm.
is, and
Yeah.
that's the role inside of her family. And she's found herself in the same role inside of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Um,
And Sydney, she has her own battle she's going through while she's also being hands on in this role.
Totally.
You know.
I think I mean, her and Carmy are not communicating well. I mean, that is
Hmm.
shown. They're kind of getting into an argument over the menu. Um,
In front of the new hires, imagine.
yeah, right. Setting the tone there. Um,
Hmm.
it just feels like Carmy's afraid to commit to the menu, right? Like they're like, we've gone over this a million times. Like we just need to commit. Like he's maybe
Hmm.
stuck in like perfectionist mode, and
Hmm.
there is this pressure to like get it right because they need to, because Cicero's like putting down the law of like, you need to get this right, otherwise I'm taking this away from you.
Right. Yeah.
But he's all like, Carmy's also distracted, and so you can't be perfectionist and distracted at the same time, and it's causing lots
Yeah.
of conflict. And we know that Sydney struggles with like trusting, like, and rightfully so. She's kind of been seen, like been shown that Carmy's been absent-minded, and so she has all this previous messaging of, you got to trust your partner. Do you trust your partner? Right? These other restaurant owners, her dad, are like, do you trust him? And she's like, yeah, I trust him, but
Hmm.
he's like showing her that he's not being trustworthy.
Trust. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Carmy also has a problem with communication because he had a little moment with Fack when he was like, "So is she my girlfriend?" Like you could see the child in him. Like, do you ask that? I don't get it. How does that happen? Like I thought it. Oh no, I have to turn
Oof.
my phone. Jesus Christ. He was like, "You asked that? Like, how do you?" I'm confused. And Fack's like, "No, it just kind of happens. I think, bro." Like, and Fack's over here like, "I
Mm-hmm.
don't know." You can tell he's
I
like just
think
as much struggling.
I think that also is like his fear of commitment too, of like, if he commits to this, then it will go away, right? If he commits to
Mm.
the restaurant, then it will go away. He's waiting for that shoe to drop, and he's the one that's gonna fuck it up. If he has to ask her, like, I don't know, he could ask her, be like, hey, make it official, let's be boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. But he's like unsure of, he's like, the way he's talking about it is like he's unsure of whether he likes her or not. And so he has
Mm-hmm.
to get
I
validation from
know.
everyone else. Like, yeah, you do like her. Like, right?
Yes.
And so he's the one that's
Yeah.
gonna drop the shoe. It's not gonna be everyone else. It's gonna be him. He's gonna fuck up because he's not paying attention.
And that's what Sydney says, because Sydney's like, "Oh no, that's his girlfriend." He goes, "No, my friend, that's a girl." And she goes, "Oh, what?" And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "My girlfriend." And that's when it kind of went back and forth. And he was like, "I don't want to be shitty." And she goes, "Then don't."
Then don't be shitty.
Yeah. And literally he was like, "Oh, look, it's that easy." And then they laughed, because he's like, "I'm
Right.
learning. Like, I don't know what that means." And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes, Sydney is there to put him in his place and to tell him, like, bro,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes, which is so interesting. Her confidence with him specifically.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
so
like I've been
comfortable with
saying.
calling him out on his shit. Hmm. But everyone else, like him and Richie, there's something about them that she can be
Hmm.
confident with.
Hmm.
And she's starting to like, her and Tina are also like becoming more confident with each other. I feel like once they like cleared the air of whatever was going on between them, she now feels more comfortable.
Well, I think Tina feels comfortable just from being sent away. She looked at that as a learning moment, as a good moment. She had his knife. She even
Mm-hmm.
said, I believe it's this episode, she even brought it up and was like, "Hey, chef, I'm sorry I forgot to bring you the knife." And he was like, "No, no, I didn't ask for it." Or he goes, "I don't remember asking for it, Tina." Or
Mm-hmm.
chef, and walked away. And you could just see her be like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, ooh."
Yay, me!
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just, Yeah.
Yeah.
Little things like that show that Carmy is in it,
Mm-hmm.
but he's, like we all say, he's just not all the way in it.
It's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Richie, because Richie comes in and he's wearing his suit. He's looking good.
Yeah.
Um, I want to comment on that because I think that's so important. He's like, yeah, I'm like a badass. He describes it as armor. How you
Mm-hmm.
dress can play an important role in how you feel about yourself. So
Yeah.
if you're wanting like a hot tip on how to boost your confidence, dress to impress, even if it's only to impress yourself. So if you're going into a difficult situation, dress in something that makes you feel powerful, that makes you feel confident, that makes you feel safe. That matters because if you feel that, if you look into the mirror and you're like, yes, I feel that way, you will then, like, I feel the way I look, you'll start to like behave that way. It's a nice little mind trick. So I think that's what he's doing. Is like, I feel so badass wearing a suit. And so I'm going to continue to foster that badassery by wearing suits. It's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
It gave him a lot of confidence to do
Mm-hmm.
things he would never do.
Like,
He,
apologize.
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, sorry. I'm so
No,
excited. I'm
I
so
know,
excited
me
for this
too.
moment for him.
Me too. Yeah, he went to Sugar, and he kind of shut down her joking.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because he was like, "I'm being serious. Like, I'm trying to be serious." And he said it, and I can't remember who she asked to be a witness. I don't know his name. I know he's big in the show, but
Yeah, it's kind of a side
my
character.
subtitles told me his name, and I didn't write it down. But he was like, "No, like he spoke from the heart. He spoke from, it was genuine. It was this." And
Mm-hmm.
she just kind of sat there, and he goes, "I need this." And the guy sitting next to Sydney was like, "No, we need this," meaning we need you two to work because he wants power. You are in power.
Mm-hmm.
Work together. And so she did. She was like, "Okay, you're going to hire with me, or you're going to help me hire." And that just made him feel important. It made him feel like he has a purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
rightfully so. If you think about Richie's long time with them, he should be in that position. He's been there so long. Most of them have been there very long that they all should be in some type of higher power. And that's why they gave Tina her team, and that's why they gave, Fac a suit, and he's all walking around all businessy,
That's the
and
next episode. Don't give it away yet.
damn it. That was so cute though. But yeah, no, and you can see the shift in Richie, not Richie, Carmy and Sugar giving these people their roles that they should have.
Yeah, I want to point out that Richie said, I shoved myself into places that I didn't fit because I didn't belong. Something to that
Mm-hmm.
fact, right? We've, I was right. I love when I'm right. Uh, we've said all along, like, he's trying to find his place, right? He's trying to find his place.
He
And
is.
he
He
now
is.
sees how, like, when you try to force something that's not your space to be in, it's not going to work. So
Yeah.
now he's found his space and it works, and everyone else is like, feels like a deep sigh of relief. He apologized, he owned his stuff. It felt very well received from Sugar. Their relationship feels better, more connected, and now he has his place, and now he's like exuding confidence, not like rage of like trying to like fight his way into power. Like, he knows his lane now, and that's so important.
Yeah. It is. It
Good.
is. I like watching him shine every time. I don't know what that song is, but it's like, "Go little rock star." I
No,
hear that. I
yeah.
hear that around him, like, "Go little rock star," because he's doing so good. He
He's
is.
doing
He's
so
doing so
good.
good. It's to the point that when he is in a scene, I'm not cringing that it's going to get messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Healing. Just like self-discovery. Chef's kiss.
but I did like I. Is it this episode that he sat in on a hiring process?
I think so.
Okay. So he sat
Yeah.
in on a hiring. Okay, he sat in
Mm-hmm.
on the hiring interview,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Thank you, goodbye, good luck." He said, good luck." Like, oh, and they left, and he looked at Sugar. He goes, "We're not fucking hiring her." Which I wish he wouldn't cuss as much, because it still kind of it still reminds me of, I don't want to say the old Richie, but like the ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she was like, "Why not?" And he's like, "Look at the napkin." And she's like, "I don't, okay, the napkin." He's like, "No, I turned it. If you truly came from the restaurants you came from, you would have changed that napkin right away. You would have made sure everything was aligned. You would have made sure things are perfect." And I'm just like, oh, he cares.
He cares so much. I think he's
To change a
always
napkin.
cared. He's always cared. He just didn't know how to show it. And I feel like
Yeah.
now he knows how to show it, right? Like,
And the
shit
markers.
matters. Yes, like the details, right? He's trying, like, he saw this thing was badass. He figured it
Mm-hmm.
out. He was really truly watching that restaurant, that
Mm-hmm.
very high end restaurant. And now he's taking it. He's like, I know what we need to do. I know where my place can be.
Yes.
And because he cares, he's always cared. He just has not shown it in a way that's been received well. And so
Yeah.
now it's like, okay. And you could tell, like, Sugar was like, oh, damn. Like, look at you
Yeah.
move the napkin. You moved the napkin. Like, this was a task for the person coming in, and they failed because they didn't see the napkin.
I would have seen the napkin.
It would have drove me nuts too. I'm like, no, this,
Yeah.
why is this one different? I would have been like, can I change this, please? Like,
Yeah. Or
but
I've been
yeah,
like, can we just move it out of my way? Because I can't handle it.
touch the
But
table.
no, he did. He changed, or he paid attention to detail. And I did notice on the marker scene, when I talk about the marker scenes, the Sharpie markers,
Mm-hmm.
it was like green, red, blue, black, and one of the blacks were in like the blues or purples. And he picked the black up and put it in where the black should go.
Mm-hmm.
And if we notice, somewhere along there, Carmy and Sydney have a scene talking around those markers, and Carmy changes the markers around also and sees the colors are disoriented, and he puts them back. So it just shows you
Disoriented, disorganized.
organized.
Disoriented is like, I don't know where I'm at.
I realize, okay? Like me right now.
Yes, you're disoriented.
Ah,
The markers don't have a state of consciousness. Oh god.
but yeah, it was just that scene. And it goes to show you that if you think of this when it first happened, Carmy was the brains. He was the brains. He knew it all. He did this. But he didn't want to be the only brain. So he sent everyone away, and they came back with knowledge in this field. And I think it's just showing, like, Carmy's kind of getting a little bit of happiness every time he talks to different people, because he's like, I see it's working. Like, I see where I
Mm-hmm.
sent you helped. Because he couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do it himself. They didn't want to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
when, I don't know if it's this episode, when Tina got the pans and she looked at it and she goes, "Science, baby."
Science, baby. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, yes.
Yes. The one last thing I want to talk about the cannolis. A cannoli is this like Italian dish. It's an Italian dessert, so it like comes in like a shell and they stuff it full of cream. And so Carmy, it's delicious, girl. We yes. Yes, those are cannolis. They're a dessert. Typically they're desserts. Okay.
Mm.
We'll go out for cannolis. They're delicious. You might not like them
Yeah.
because they're sweet, but
Where do you get them at?
Italian restaurants. Most any Italian restaurant is gonna have, but not like a like a Olive Garden. Like no, it's not an Italian restaurant. That's an American. Yeah, you could probably get a cannoli at Saputo's.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
continue on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the cannolis. He said he was thinking about the cannolis on his menu. He's like, I kind of want to like take it back and make it my own, because he was talking about like his mom used to make cannolis and had lots of feelings about that. He's like, I want to make it my own. It was such a symbolic moment for the beef versus
Mm-hmm.
the bear, right? The
Mm-hmm.
beef was like the old chaos family, whereas the bear is he's like changing it and making it his own. He's making
Mm-hmm.
it work. He's making it more healthy. such a beautiful moment. And my therapy brain was like, oh, this feels very similar to like an EMDR technique. So EMDR is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. Mouthful. But essentially, what they do in EMDR, I'm trained in EMDR. So, what they do in EMDR is we take a belief and we change it to be more adaptive. So, for example, maybe Carmy has a belief that he's not good enough. And so, what we want to do with that belief is we want to lower that belief and change it to be more adaptive. So, I am good enough. So, when he goes forward and he thinks about a like traumatic memory or something bad that's happened to him, he can think I am good enough instead of I'm not good enough. So he's like reframing. So what EMDR is like reframes that situation so that it's less stressful, less distressing. So that's what he's doing with the cannoli, whereas like the cannoli for him symbolizes his family and the chaos in that. So he's taking it and he's reframing it into
Mm-hmm.
something that's like him and more future oriented rather than past oriented, more empowering
Hmm.
rather than like holding him down. I just really liked that.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I didn't see that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Nice. Well,
Really?
this has been a reality check. And just because I'm a therapist doesn't mean that I am your therapist. If something in this episode struck a chord in you, please reach out to therapy. As always, make sure that you give us a like and a follow. We greatly appreciate it. And tell your friends.
Bye.